$1.46 million. That's the number. That's what the latest surveys say the average American thinks they need to retire comfortably. And when you first hear that, it sounds insane, right? Like, who actually has $1.46 million sitting around? Maybe you're in your 20s or 30s, grinding through bills, trying to save whatever's left after rent and groceries, and that car payment that never seems to go away. And some study comes along and tells you, yeah, you need $1.46 million to retire. Cool, thanks. Super helpful. Here's the thing, though. That number isn't wrong. But the way most people think about reaching it? Completely backwards. Because the question isn't how do I find $1.46 million? The question is how do I build $1.46 million without needing to be rich to start? And the answer will surprise you. Because the math is actually on your side. You just haven't seen it laid out properly yet. But here's what nobody tells you. The path to $1.46 million isn't about being a genius investor or landing some six-figure salary. It's about understanding 5 specific levers that, when you pull them in the right order, do most of the heavy lifting for you. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's paint the real picture here. Imagine you're 28 years old. You're making $52,000 a year. You got maybe $4,000 saved, which honestly isn't bad, but you know you're behind. You open your banking app on a Sunday night. Stare at your balance and think, there is no universe where I have $1 million. Sound familiar? You're not alone, not even close. According to a 2024 Northwestern Mutual study, the average American believes they need $1.46 million to retire comfortably, but the median retirement savings for Americans between 35 and 44 is only around $45,000. That's a gap of over $1.4 million for most people right in their prime working years. And here's the stat that really stings. Nearly 40% of Americans have less than $10,000 saved for retirement, period. Not a bad start. Total. So the gap between where people are and where they need to be is massive. And the worst part? Most people respond to that gap by doing one of two things. They either panic and start making risky moves, or they just give up and tell themselves they'll figure it out later. Neither of those works. But there's a third option, and it's the one that actually closes the gap. It's not flashy. It's not a hot stock tip. It's a system. And once you understand how it works, you'll never look at your bank account the same way again. So let's break this down. First, let's talk about where this number actually comes from. Because if you don't understand that, the whole thing feels random. There's a rule in personal finance called the 4% rule. It comes from a famous study by financial researcher William Bengen in 1994, and it basically says this. If you withdraw 4% of your retirement portfolio each year, your money has a strong historical likelihood of lasting 30 years or more. So let's work backwards. If you want to live on $58,000 a year in retirement, which is right around the median household income, you divide that by 0.04 and you get $1.45 million. That's basically where that $1.46 million figure comes from. Here's the analogy. Think of your retirement portfolio like a golden goose. The 4% rule says you can pluck 4 feathers every year, and the goose will keep growing them back, essentially forever. Pull too many feathers, and the goose can't keep up. Pull the right amount, and you've got feathers for life. The crucial insight? Your target number isn't fixed. It's directly tied to your expected expenses in retirement. If you plan to spend $40,000 a year, you need $1 million. Spend $80,000 a year, you need $2 million. You have more control over this number than you think. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Let's talk about the single most powerful force in your wealth-building journey. And I promise, even if you've heard of compound interest before, you haven't truly felt how absurd it gets over time. Here's the simple version. Compound interest means you earn returns not just on the money you put in, but on the returns themselves. Your money makes money. Then that money makes money. And it snowballs. Let's make this real. Say you're 25 years old and you start investing $400 a month. That's $4,800 a year into a broad index fund averaging 7% annual returns after inflation. By the time you're 65, you have contributed $192,000 of your own money. But your portfolio? It will be worth somewhere around $1.05 million. That's over $850,000 in growth you didn't have to earn. The market did it for you. Now here's the stat that should make you feel a little sick if you're procrastinating. Waiting just 10 extra years, starting at 35 instead of 25, cuts your final number roughly in half. Same contributions, same returns, half the outcome. That's the cost of waiting. This leads us to the next crucial point. Okay, this is the one most people get wrong. People obsess over what to invest in, which stocks, which funds, which app. But the thing that actually moves the needle the most, especially in the early years, is how much you're saving in the first place. Your savings rate is a percentage of your income you put away every month, and it matters more than almost any other variable in your retirement plan. Here's a quick comparison. Two people, both making $60,000 a year. Person A saves 5%. That's $250 a month. Person B saves 20%. That's $1,000 a month. Same income, same investments. But person B doesn't just retire 4 times faster. Because of compounding, they could retire in roughly half the time. The analogy here, think of your savings rate like the throttle on a car. The market is the road, but you control how hard you're pressing the gas. A higher savings rate doesn't just add more money. It compresses your timeline dramatically. Research from Vanguard shows that investors who consistently save 15% or more of their income are significantly more likely to hit their retirement goals than those saving less, regardless of income level. You don't have to hit 20% overnight, but every extra percent you add today, it compounds forward in a way that is wildly disproportionate to the sacrifice it takes now. But wait, there's more to this. Here's something that blows people's minds when they first see it. The government actually helps you save for retirement. If you know where to look, we're talking about accounts like your 401k, Roth IRA, and HSA. And the reason they matter so much isn't just because of the tax savings. It's because those savings reinvest and compound on top of your gains. Let me give you a specific example. Say you invest $6,000 a year in a regular taxable brokerage account versus a Roth IRA. In a Roth IRA, your money grows completely tax-free. No capital gains tax. No taxes on withdrawal in retirement. Over 30 years at 7% returns, the Roth account could leave you with tens of thousands more, simply because you're not losing a slice of taxes every year. And if your employer offers a 401k match, that's an immediate 50 to 100% return on your contribution before the market even does anything. If you're not capturing that match in full, you're genuinely leaving free money on the table. As of 2025, you can contribute up to $23,500 to a 401k and $7,000 to a Roth IRA annually. That's over $30,000 in tax advantage space every single year. The metaphor? Tax advantage accounts are like a VIP lane on the highway. Everyone's going to the same destination, but you're moving faster because you're not stopping at the same toll booths. You might be wondering, okay, but what if I can't max all of these out? Prioritize in this order. First, get your full employer 401k match. Then max your Roth IRA. Then go back and add more to your 401k. That sequence alone puts you miles ahead of most people. This one is sneaky, and it gets almost everyone. Here's how it works. You get a raise. Nice. So you upgrade your apartment, buy a newer car, start eating out more, take a slightly fancier vacation, and somehow, every time your income goes up, your savings rate stays exactly the same. Or gets worse. That's lifestyle creep. And over a 30 or 40-year career, it can silently cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in retirement wealth. Here's a rule that actually works. Every time you get a raise, immediately redirect at least 50% of the after-tax increase to savings or investments. You'll still feel the raise. You'll still enjoy the extra income. But you'll also be building wealth instead of just building a more expensive lifestyle. Think of it like this. If you never had the money, you can't miss it. The moment that raise hits your account and goes straight to investing, your brain never adapts to spending it. That's the trick. According to Fidelity, people who automate their savings increases, even by just 1% per year, end up with significantly more retirement than those who wait to manually adjust their contributions. Automation is your best friend here. Set it, forget it, and let time do the rest. Now, let's talk about where to put the money. And I want to say something that might feel radical. You probably don't need to pick stocks at all. For most people building toward retirement, low-cost index funds, particularly total market or S&P 500 index funds, are the most proven, most reliable vehicle available. They're diversified by design. They have minimal fees. And over the long run, they've outperformed the vast majority of actively managed funds. Here's the stat. Over a 20-year period, roughly 90% of actively managed funds underperform their benchmark index. 90%. That means a fund manager being paid to beat the market. Usually doesn't, and fees matter more than most people realize. A fund with a 1% expense ratio versus a 0.03% index fund might not sound like much. But over 30 years, that difference can cost you over $100,000 on a $500,000 portfolio. The analogy? Choosing an expensive actively managed fund over a low-cost index fund is like paying a personal chef thousands of dollars a year to cook meals that are, statistically, worse than what you get cooking simply at home. You don't need to be a sophisticated investor to build $1.46 million. You need a simple portfolio, low fees, and time. So, what do you actually do with this information? Here's your game plan, step by step. First, calculate your number today. Don't use $1.46 million as your default. Figure out your number. Estimate what you'll want to spend each year in retirement. Multiply it by 25. That's your target. This takes about 15 minutes with a calculator or any free retirement planning tool like Fidelity's Retirement Score Calculator or Personal Capital. You can't aim at a target you can't see. Second, open or optimize a tax advantage account this week. If you don't have a Roth IRA, open one. It takes about 20 minutes on Fidelity, Schwab, or Vanguard. If your employer offers a 401k match and you're not maxed into it, log in and change your contribution rate today. This is the highest leverage move you can make in the shortest time. Capture free money first. Always. Third, automate your savings rate this week. Set up an automatic transfer on payday before you have a chance to spend it, even if it's $200 a month right now. Then set a calendar reminder every 6 months to increase it by 1%. The key is removing willpower from the equation. Willpower runs out. Automation doesn't. Fourth, pick simple investments and stop overthinking this month. If you don't know where to start, a target date retirement fund or a simple 3-fund portfolio, total U.S. market, international index, bond index, is genuinely all most people need. Low fees. Set it and forget it. Don't check it every day. This month, spend 2 hours reading about index investing. That's it. 2 hours is enough to make a better decision than most people ever will. Fifth, audit lifestyle creep annually. Once a year, maybe every January. Sit down and review your income versus your savings rate. Did you get a raise this year? Where did that money go? Make it a ritual. If your savings rate hasn't gone up alongside your income, something is leaking. Find it. Fix it. Here's the truth. $1.46 million sounds terrifying until you understand the math behind it. And once you do, once you see how compound interest, savings rate, tax advantage accounts, and time all work together, that number starts to feel surprisingly reachable. You don't need to be wealthy to retire wealthy. You need to be consistent. You need to start early. And you need to stop letting the size of the goal paralyze you from taking the first step. Because the version of you who starts investing $300 a month at 28, that person retires a millionaire. The version who waits until 38 to start, that person is playing a very different game. Be the 28-year-old. If this video helped you see your retirement plan differently, hit that subscribe button. Because every week we break down money concepts like this in plain English, no jargon, no fluff. Just real strategies that actually work. Next week, we're talking about something that trips up almost every new investor. The difference between a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA, and which one is actually better for you depending on your income. You don't want to miss that one. The path to $1.46 million is a mystery. It's a math problem, and you just got the formula. Now go use it.